Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we review Old Forester 1924. Run the video. All right then folks, welcome back. So we have another really exciting episode for you folks at home. I know a lot of you have been requesting this bottle, so I'm very happy today that we were able to get a hold of this bottle. A little bit more than what we wanted to pay, but however, we were able to get a hold of that. If you're not a subscriber, definitely consider being one, and go down below and hit that like button and comment if you've been able to try this or if Old Forester is your thing anyway. That being said, as you can see, we're going more the t-shirt route today. We did recently do an episode where we were sponsored by Into the AM, and I just really like these shirts. They're not sponsoring today's episode, but I'm just going to continue to wear some of them as we do the Whiskey Cove videos. If you'd like one of these, I still have the discount code for you. That is Whiskey Cove, and the link is down below. Into the AM, and they do like excellent prices on t-shirts, so definitely go and check that out. With that being said, we are reviewing Old Forester 1924 10-year.
Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the
So this is supposed to be an addition to the Old Forester core lineup. However, the price is a little bit different. MSRP on this is about $115, give or take, depending on where you are in the country. But this is considerably more. So the most expensive one is the 1920, and I think that's around $60. So it's almost double that. Is it double in value? Maybe. It does carry a 10-year age statement. It is 50% ABV or 100 proof. I have looked on the bottle. It doesn't say that it's bottled in bond. I wasn't able to find that online, so I assume that it's not bottled in bond. And for a 10-year age whiskey, yes, there's stuff like Eagle Rare and Russell's out there, which are 45% ABV, so a little bit less, but they are considerably cheaper than this bottle. So this bottle has a lot to stand up for, or stand up to, I should say. So as my palate is very Brown-Forman, Old Forester pleasant. I kind of like Old Forester, and I really like a lot of the stuff that Brown-Forman generally puts out, like Jack Daniels and that sort of thing. However, that's got nothing to do with the review that we're doing today. However, I just want to let you folks at home know that I do really like Old Forester products as they are. So let's get this cracked. Well, it's already been cracked, right? We'll pour some into the glass here. It does have a real cork, and we always appreciate real corks here on the Whiskey Cove. As you can see, I have cracked it already. I was up in the mountains here in Colorado, and we found this bottle on the way up to the mountain, so we just cracked it there, and then as you can see, we've already drunk a decent amount. The bottle itself is very similar to the other Old Forester bottles, like the 1910 and 1920. It does have the gold around it outside of the label, where the other two, the 1910 and the 20, just have like some grey. Has a really nice like royal purple and gold kind of vibe going on. I really like royal purple and gold when they come together. I think that this bottle definitely displays that really well. It was a bit weird that back label was all kind of off compared to this one. As you can see, this is lined up really nicely with the front, but this back label is just kind of all over the place, but that's just the label in. And like I said, it does carry that 10-year age statement. Looking at the whiskey in the glass here, it does look quite thick actually, you know, for 50% ABV. That can sometimes go either way. But with this one, it does look really rich and really thick there, just looking through it in the light in the glass. Color, it is a little darker than some of the other. It reminds me a little bit more of the Old Forester 1910, which is a little bit darker because it is double barreled. Kind of has some of that kind of light in tones to it there in the glass. Let's go in for a nose here. Old Forester 1924, 10-year age statement. I'm definitely getting some subtle wood and cherry notes there. You definitely know, compared to a lot of old, I haven't tried Birthday Bourbon, which I think is like 12-year age statement. So this is the most aged whiskey I've ever had from Old Forester. And you definitely can feel that there with that wood presence. Like I said, there's a bit of cherryness there as well, but it's kind of, it kind of reminds me a little bit more of like a cherry pledge, like a cherry kind of wood cleaner. It has a little bit of like the acetone type vibes there in the background. And this bottle's been open for about 2 weeks now. Definitely a little bit of pepper, a little bit of spice, and some really nice like cereal vanillas there. Definitely a decent amount of sweetness. Not much heat coming off the nose. Just heat in terms of maybe like a little bit of pepper, a little bit of rice spice, but no real proof. Let's go in for a tasty Old Forester. It's definitely not as rich in terms of mouthfeel on the palate. It is actually tasting quite thin. Straight up, I'm getting a decent amount of spice here. It gets really peppery, really kind of mustardy, that kind of spicy note that you get from mustard. It's kind of sitting right there on the front and right along the palate there. Kind of has, like the mustard, horseradish, not quite like a spicy pepper, but it kind of almost has like a different spiciness to it. And this definitely has that. In terms of like the vanilla, as I said, cereal vanilla on the nose, but it still carries through a little bit with that, but also adds to like maybe like a cream soda, a little bit more sweetness there, and kind of maybe like the spices that you get from like a cola, which is why I'm getting that kind of cream soda vibe a little bit. And then you are getting a little bit of wood that kind of transitions you out of the middle of the palate towards the end of the finish. And then you're gonna get a little bit more of those kind of quintessential bourbon notes in terms of like that typical vanilla, oak, and cherry does all pop up towards the back end there. Let's go in for one more taste here to see if we can pick apart the finish. So typically, with Old Foresters, I do get quite, a decent amount of yeast on there. I'm not really getting any like yeasty note that I do typically get on this one. I must have been rounded out throughout those years. I am getting maybe like a dry and kind of leather note at the back end in terms of kind of like that wood. There is definitely like a tannicky, drying sensation, and that does seem to happen a lot when I'm drinking aged whiskey, and I definitely get that on this. When all those sweeter notes have kind of subsided, that little bit of that cherry still hangs around. It's more like a drying leather, tannicky note on the back end, which, like I said, pretty expected for an aged bourbon. So let's talk a little bit about value for money and score out of 100, as we always do here at the Whiskey Cove. If you are new around here, I know we've had a lot of new subscribers lately, thank you for that. Our scoring system, we do value for money, A through F. We take into account kind of like what the bottle looks like, obtainability, how much we pay for the bottle. We kind of try to keep that in value for money. But then when it comes to score to 100, we just score the whiskey that is in the glass, nothing else, just how we like it. So value for money. So I said at the beginning that I did pay a little bit more than MSRP on this one. So I ended up paying, I think out of the door, it was like $135, which I think MSRP was about $127. So I was a little bit more than I wanted to pay, but however, I saw these in Colorado at different stores, and they were all being marked up like $150. So I saw it for like $125, $128, and I was like, I'm just gonna buy it. And I'm glad I did, because I haven't really seen it since. So, but it's still quite a lot of money, and is it that much more better than 1920? I don't know if it is. I don't think it's $70, $60, $70 better than 1920. So that's why for value for money, I'm going to give it a C. I think if you take into account Eagle Rare and Russell's, yes, they're a little bit less in proof. Russell's 10, but they sit about the $40 mark, and this is like $80 more than that. But then a lot of like the other newer boys on the block, like the Jack Daniel's 10, I think that even that was about $70, $80. So we have seen bottles kind of creeping up there. Obviously the Elijah Craig barrel proofs, it's like 10 to 13 years, and they sit around $70, $80. So I think this is a little bit pricey for what it is. So that's why I'm giving it a C. However, score out of 100. So I really wanted to like this whiskey. Like I said, ticked a lot of boxes for me. Love Brown-Forman products, love Old Forester. I really like an aged bourbon as well. 10-year age statement, right up my street. 50% ABV, right up my street. However, it just seems to just be lacking. You get some decent flavors there, but just as the whole package, it doesn't quite wow you at all. It doesn't quite hit home. So I think score of 100, I think I'm gonna give this a, and this isn't a bad score, I think I'm gonna give it a 71. I think that's a pretty respectable score. However, it's just not as good as Old Forester 1910 and 1920. I think if you're looking for this, yes, maybe go out and buy it for $120 for the first time. But I don't think I'll be buying a backup to this unless they figure some stuff out and kind of like the new barrels, if they continue with this a bit better, then I might go back to it. But if I'm gonna reach for Old Forester, I'll continue to reach for the Old Forester 1910s. And heck, the Blue Label single barrels, which are ranged for about $80. Much better than this, considerably better, and that's why I'm giving it a 71 out of 100 on today's episode. Like I said, worth a one-time buy if you're a big Old Forester fan. If you're not a big Old Forester fan, then I would probably pass on it. So hopefully you've enjoyed today's video where we've done a review on Old Forester 1924. Don't forget to go over to Into the AM, link is down below in the description, and pick up some awesome t-shirts for value prices as we drink through the world's whiskies one glass at a time. Cheers.